from where you're at. I think I'm gonna go to the podium.
I am too.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be weird, like
Yeah.
talk show host, you know? Like,
Oh, good.
that's what it is.
Step up onto the stage.
Oh,
And I was like, that's gonna hurt my pants.
you're amazing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 Annual Conference and Book Fair in Los Angeles, California. I am Demisty Bellinger, a member of the AWP Board of Directors, and here is a visual description of myself. I am a short, round black woman with curly hair, let's say, and double strand twist and blue glasses. The Association of Writers and Writing Programs is a small but mighty nonprofit organization that amplifies the voices of writers and the academic programs and organizations that serve them, all while championing diversity and excellence in creative writing. I am a member of the AW's Board of Directors, but first and foremost, I am a member of AWP. Membership with AWP provides me with writing resources year-round, but just as importantly, allows me to support other writers, especially those who are just starting out. My membership dues help writers find meaningful careers and publication opportunities and make services like the Writer to Writers Mentorship Program possible. If you are not already, I invite you to become a member today. We are delighted to bring you this event today. I'd like to acknowledge and thank all of our conference sponsors and the literary partner hosting this event. Our literary partners and sponsors allow AWP to present these extraordinary literary events and help us keep our conference affordable and accessible. Please join me in thanking to all of our conference sponsors and partners for their support and participation. Now, before we start, I do need to do some brief housekeeping. Please silence your cell phones. Please silence your cell phones. There is no flash photography allowed during the presentation. Respect seats that are marked for attendees with accessibility needs. If they do not look like to you that they have accessibility needs, do not question them. Let them sit in the seats designed for them. Please give the authors about 10 minutes after the presentation to get to the book signing table before approaching them to have your book signed. Thank you, and now it's my great pleasure and honor to welcome, Maya Marshall, editor-at-large at Haymarket Books, who I will now change it over to, and this wonderful program. Thank you very much.
Hello. How you doing? You're not tired yet? Yes.
We didn't say that.
That's all right. I'm glad you're still rocking with it. This is an exciting space to be nourished and poured into. I'll say that's true for me at Haymarket Books, too. I work there as the poetry director and as a literary consultant for the Writing Freedom Fellowship, and one of my great professional honors has been to acquire, like a hammer, poets on mass incarceration. In the process of working on this book, I met Diana Marie Delgado, who will never get rid of me for the rest of our professional lives, and have had the honor to connect the work of this book, which is the practice of acknowledging the fact that human beings damage one another and then save one another over and over and over again. And that poetry and the images and metaphor and practice of that remind us that the reason for living is to live with one another. Haymarket Books is a leftist socialist press whose primary work is to publish political and economic nonfiction. I don't know if you know, but for every movement, the poets, the musicians are the vanguard. And our work at Haymarket is to celebrate that vanguard, to make sure that their lyric gets into your head and your heart and your feet, and that we then publish the work of the activists standing behind them. These are some of those activists. Yeah, you can cheer for that. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna invite up Diana, who over the course of 5 years has shepherded and stewarded the work of some of the best writers in the Western world, in the whole world, and done so without creating tiers. So some of the folks in this book live inside cages, and they are talented, honest, and not afraid of you, not afraid of all those things that are formed against us. And Diana has made sure that you understand that they are on the same level with those names you already know. So I'm grateful to her for that, and I'll welcome her up now.
Yes, we have to find joy in all that's going on. Just want to remind, thank you, Maya, for reminding us all about that. I'm Diana Marie Delgado, and I'm excited to return to LA, which is where I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley of La Puente, to share Like a Hammer, Poets on Mass Incarceration. I'm going to begin with some opening remarks about the book, about me, who I am, and about what this book represents for us and for you. And after that, we will begin the reading soon after. I vividly remember standing in the main room of the Cape Detention Center, a place where prison is taught, hosting a reading by Evie Shockley and Patrick Roselle, and staring back at me were children, mostly the faces and the eyes of brown and black bodies, kids who were essentially prisoners. Nikki Finney writes, and my purple pen is moving like a hammer against the page. That line from her poem, Black Boy with Cow, A Still Life, closes this anthology, and it reminds me writing is not passive, it's action, it's intervention, it's resistance, it's a hammer. It's an honor to be with you here today to celebrate alongside some of the most fearless voices in writing today, captured to serve as an intervention in America's carceral system. That poetry can hold what has been denied despite those that claim otherwise. I was raised in the San Gabriel Valley in a town called La Puente, and this work, that of curation and editing, is deeply personal to me. Because where I'm from, we don't talk about trauma. We talk about the gloves a mother placed on her son's hands at his wake to cover the marks of torture. We talk about money, whether we have money so my father can attend his mother's funeral in shackles. And we talk about the conversations that my brothers are having, one of who is still incarcerated in the California Department of Corrections, where Home Depot hires felons. But today, I don't want to just talk about the trauma. I want to talk about action. I want to talk about presence, about consequence, and about coming together. I do want to remind everyone that I am not here as an expert. I'm here as a minor poet who sees and can feel when something is wrong, even when those in charge deny that anything is wrong. This book took over 7 years to bring into this world, and more than 20 publishers said no. But it came to life because a community refused to turn away. And I want to give my deepest thanks to Haymarket Books, with special love to Maya Marshall, poet and editor-at-large. I want to give thanks to Kima Jones with Triangle Literary, Kathy Cleric from Exchange for Change, who runs a prison writing program in South Florida, of which many of the poets who participate in that program are in this book. I want to thank Tyler Meyer and the entire Poetry Center team. Tyler, I want to give you a handout, who conceived of this book a long time ago and whose work is also featured in here, was born from commissions through the Art for Justice support that was given to the Poetry Center to create new work to challenge the future of mass incarceration. And I also want to thank Reginald Dwayne Betts from Freedom Reads, who also was instrumental in making sure that support went to Poetry Center and that we were off to a good start in how we were thinking about the book and the work. Why is this book important? We are here with hundreds of books. As we walk through the aisles, we get to meet the authors, we talk, we are actually in a time where there's a lot of oversaturation of content. So why is this book important? This book insists that Black and brown lives are not imaginary, that our realities matter, that our bodies are worth something, and to you, that to witness something, you witness someone's full humanity, and to do that is not a luxury, but it's actually our responsibility. When I was 8 years old, I sat in a holding cell with my mother and brother, and that moment shaped me, though I couldn't name it then. And it has reverberated throughout my life in pursuit of better understanding of how to dismantle and sometimes work along systems of power, survival, and resilience, all through the literary arts, all through language. This anthology comes from that urgency to speak openly and frankly and to amplify what too many of us are asked to bury or dismiss. Today, you'll hear from 4 poets whose work appears in or speaks alongside Like a Hammer. Vanessa and Angélica Villarreal, whose poetry and scholarly work push against what our future will look like if detention centers, the American carceral system's current incarnation, is not acknowledged as part of a historical thread connected to torture and punishment. We have Marcelo Hernandez Castillo, who confronts the criminalization of immigrant bodies and the architecture of disappearance. And we have Tongo Eisen-Martin, who writes with searing clarity about the brutal absurdity of the systems we survive and what I like to call le comédie. And we also have Angel Nafis, whose work is unflinching, generous, bringing us moment by moment in the book with an urgency to free everyone who has been imprisoned in some way, but not only the people in our generation, but the future generations who are going to succumb to the same fate if we don't act. Like a Hammer is structured intentionally to reflect the circular, unrelenting nature of mass incarceration, and it ends with a poem about George Stinney Jr., a 14-year-old executed by the state in 1944. That cycle still exists, and this book is meant to disrupt it. I want to mention that there is a study guide, and that study guide that's created, there's a portion of it in the back of the book, but you can go to Haymarket Books to click on a really beautiful study guide that was created to talk about this book. It was made to extend this conversation into classroom, community groups, and correctional facilities. Films were also produced and are being released now to expand that reach and can be found at the Brinkerhoff Poetry website. This book was made to travel. If it moves you, I encourage you to share it, give it to others, read it, talk about it, because Like a Hammer is what it looks like when community steps in and looks to support those that are closest to us. I want to acknowledge, lastly, that I've had to rewrite this introduction several times because the moment keeps shifting, and sadly not for the better. But I do hope that this book, it will serve as a moment in time where we are in defiance of what we are experiencing, and that through our individual and collective resistance, we can forge change. So I want to return to Nikki Finney's words one last time, and my purple pen is moving like a hammer against the page. Let this afternoon's reading be that pin, let it move, and let it strike. Thank you. I want to now invite up Vanessa and Angélica Villarreal.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. Before I start, I want to acknowledge everyone who has been forcibly disappeared since the beginning of this administration, from Mahmoud Khalil to everyone in the Chrome Migrant Detention Center in Miami, to those who are being unjustly incarcerated in El Salvador and Guantanamo Bay. Goodness gracious. This first poem, I'm going to invite my fellow poets, Diana, Maria Delgado, Angel Nafis, and Marcelo Hernandez Castillo to read with me. So this poem came out, so I wrote this during the first Trump administration when ICE parole procedures were declassified. It was these child hearings who were, applying for parole and were about to be separated from their parents because it was not safe to have parent and child in the same ICE detention facility. And so they would keep the parent in detention and deport the child. It was declassified, and the impersonal nature of the data was incredibly disturbing to me, how all of these lives were just flattened into these cells, this Excel spreadsheet. And so the name of the poem is Table Border Collapse, Collapse, and that is the CSS code for making a table invisible so that the borders around the cells disappear. In America, the land is the ghost of the land.
Final order pending removal.
In America,
Right wrist
the
to
land
separate.
is the land of the
Final
ghost.
order
Right wrist.
pending
The
removal.
land is
to
the ghost
separate.
in the land. In America,
Final
the land
order
is the
wrist.
ghost. In America,
pending
the
wish to
ghost is the
removal.
land. In Erica,
Final
the
Right wrist.
order
is the
pending
free
removal.
ghost land
Parent does
table.
not
Final
wish to
wrist.
separate.
Border
order
style.
pending
solid,
removal.
Flight
border
wrist.
style,
Wish to separate.
USCIS.
Empire's
Entry,
bottom
entry.
line,
Light
gross
risk.
domestic product
Final
lifespans,
order
border style, a
pending
timeline
removal.
Light
moving
risk.
forward from an ancient
Final
south.
order
Line itself
pending
a
removal.
manufactured
Parent does
record,
not wish to
manufactured
USCIS.
estate, dividing
IJ
those who
interview.
remember
Light
from
risk.
those who don't,
USCIS.
those who belong to the
Parent does not
past
wish
from
to
those
interview.
who belong to the
Light risk.
future, border
Final
style,
order
manifest,
pending
future
Light risk.
equals
Parent does not wish to
forgetting
separate.
who is
Final
entitled
order
to a destiny.
pending removal.
Parent
Light risk.
table, TD nth child, the
Parent
fate
does not wish to
equal,
separate.
child
Pending
dot value,
removal.
row dot cell,
Light risk.
cell value,
Order
Parent does
the
not
wolf
wish to
wound,
separate.
removal.
the time
risk.
wound, the
South
dark
Texas,
pines, shining
ice
back
processing.
eyes,
Parent does
shine
not wish
back,
to separate.
the wailing
Isabel.
woman, the strike from a
Final
man, the
order.
scalpel of the
Ending
Parent does not
removal.
wish to
cut
separate.
flower,
Risk.
the fist and the
Final
girl, the
order.
half moon between
Ending
nations,
removal.
the
Parent
first
does not wish
generation
to
border
separate.
patrol,
Order.
the drawing of a
Ending
cell, the
removal.
coyote's
risk.
den, the way
Parent does
out.
Lost.
not wish to separate.
Light risk.
Global values.
Lost.
Input ID equals
Light
orphans.
risk.
Not.
Parent does not
Value
wish to
equals
separate.
unset. Orphans
risk.
equals
Unknown.
5,500 initials.
does not
Age,
wish to
Orphans
months.
inherit.
Flight
Lost.
risk.
Orphans revert.
Parent does not wish to
Child
separate.
Lost.
table, nested,
Deceased.
border style,
Flight
hidden,
risk.
display,
Final
tape
order.
cell,
Does not wish to
overflow,
separate.
hidden,
Flight risk.
visibility,
Final
hidden,
order.
border color,
Ending
inherit.
removal.
Every
Flight risk.
Parent does
migration
not wish to
is the
separate.
carrying of a
Ending
child
removal.
toward home.
Flight
Final
risk.
Border style, family
Parent does
photo.
not wish to
Mira el
separate.
piojito en
Final
chanclas,
order.
Light
screaming
risk.
for
Ending
his mother,
removal.
next to the man with the
Light
gun.
risk.
Chiron,
Order.
experts,
Pending removal.
debate, a child's
Light
abject
risk.
terror,
Final
abstracted,
order.
on
Separate.
loop,
Pending removal.
child
Light
unnamed, no consent for
Final
photo
order.
given.
Light
Sound
risk.
check,
Removal.
back to you.
Lost.
Thank you. Just have two poems for you today. This one is called F equals root future. It is, oh gosh, how do I explain this poem? It's a math problem. Essentially, I think what happens when you have a child is that it splits you into what you want to bring from the past into the future. When you think a lot about like generational memory, what gets erased, unfortunately, is what you are assimilating toward, right? As you assimilate, you erase parts of yourself and your ancestors and your ancestry, but they sort of maintain something in you. An incomplete or erased past can only produce a broken future. So this is a meditation on erased pasts and the broken future we're headed toward. Year 0, matrilineal equals repeat, cycle, inherit, does not exist. 0 equals Carmen. Blooming ranch fields, a throat packed with cotton, no choice but to marry her eldest off to the hoof-beaten storm. 0 equals Angélica, escape the hoof-beaten storm, escape the garnet-eyed doctor, escape the stillborn country that pummels you to rags. 0 equals Silvia, English synonyms for future, escape, amnesty, green card, possibility, dream, I promise, I will, I do, pregnant, labor, indebted, hospitalized, sole provider, burden, loan, insufficient. 0 equals Vanessa. Witness this pattern now cycling into me again, lost eddies of time, lost again. I submerge my body in the river of unclaimed memory, swim again to its cervix, and speak into the sea. I did everything I was supposed to do, and still an unbroken line of broken lines. 1 equals Joaquin. If someone is going to make it out of this dream alive, let it be you, unbraiding from me. Let it be that this cord, its arcing line, when viewed from above, is an infinite field, and let the field open for you like a bell, its bend veined with a lace of new stars, and let each new star echo on earth as a blossom, bursting from the black so that you, born from this blood-dark grief, marbled with error, can still be perfect. Let every good beast carry you and its eye open with wild knowing, and let every sagging telephone line carry my voice to you when I'm gone, when you're lonely or scared, and in a sleep-soft drift, you'll think you hear me in the kitchen. And yes, there we are again, reflected in the bend of the steel spoon, the milk still spinning as we lick off the chocolate, and there we are again in the rust-burnt dusk, embers whirling off the mountainside, the last sight we'll have of an ocean. And yes, I'm sorry. I am so, so sorry. What else could I have done to stop the cell from splitting. Year 1, set patrilineal, new, AD, T equals timeline, D equals discovery, conquest, 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 conquest. Start chronometer, start collective memory, start archive. Before the ship's arrival, there is no history. Any subject exhibiting any of the following conditions will be removed and denied re-entry into real time: undocumented, uncivilized, uncontrollable, unskilled, unwell, unaccompanied, unassimilated, uncolonized, unclean, unintelligible, unclaimed, unmarried, unattractive, unbecoming, unemployed, unauthorized, unprofitable, uninsured, underfoot, disabled, disappeared, diseased, disadvantaged, discarded, disassociated, disordered, dissenting, indebted, prehistoric, pre-agricultural, pre-capitalist, pre-discovery, pre-colonial, pre-Christian, primitivity, pre-literate, precarious, prey. Real future function. Future times time, discovery times time equals infinity, the future. And after the coral bleaches to bone and the poles thaw and the clouds shatter a searing rain, the SpaceX colony will have already built an electromagnetic wall to border its orbit, and in the field, the bent workers will still scoop tender chard under a burning sky for the empire, and even the mountains will kneel in witness and surrender to the sinking to greet once again that same ancient ocean. And when the last elephant falls, we will know the end of memory, and time will go white. In the future, white, and the past, white, wiped immaculate, if fault, all time collapsed into a single line, all histories consumed by the official record and its impeccable family lines traced back through the whitened field itself so straight, and us broken and broken trees to make way for the future, progressing ever forward in a line of suns. But any voyage that assumes a forward course will loop to its origin and cross itself. And so the compass rose will enclose the world into the shape of a gun sight. And when there are no new lands to map in blood, how pale will the horse of the last sunrise look underwater? Learn from this, little one. Time was never a line but a field, and you are occurring alongside the past. And when I recognize Abuelito's laugh in you, or offer a bending lily to the dead, we are born and together again, and every minute I choose you. Choose to fight, and don't drive off the mountain. I encounter the infinite as the will to survive. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Maya. It's an honor to be here. This book is dangerous. This is a dangerous book, and they feel threatened. Those in power feel threatened. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence that they come for artists first, that they come for the poets first. And none of us can be free unless all of us are free. What's happening in Palestine, the genocide that is being committed on Palestine, is the model of violence that is being repeated here. This is a letter to my son, and I'm going to put the poem up here as a PDF. ICE agents were ordered not to touch infants who were held in detention and separated by their mothers because they were instructed not to build any emotional connection. I never read this poem the same twice because I'm going to be skipping around. So when I signal to the tech team to turn the page, I would greatly appreciate it. So you can follow along. The decision to choose words for suffering is still a decision. Dexter Booth. This is a language necessary for anger, but not retaliation. Oh, and a lot of this is found language, archival, so not in my words. Some of it is unclassified information too. A language necessary for anger, but not retaliation. I understand so much. My imagination is monastic, its own silent mythology. State personnel says keep it all. State personnel redacts subsequent statements. Bewilderment, remedy, burn. Trafficking in temporary consequence, its doubt and iridescence, little brother, son, little iota, my ode to plants, my obelisk. Trust me, I'm a specialist. Because the grant money will be over soon, it will be difficult to imagine, let alone speak about your freedom. I am qualified to talk about this bewilderment. Riddled and tame, a most acute symphony. This poem in which the word cage is never used. Subsequent statements lie about everything. The committee extracts the meadow. I feel safe around your opulent regret and the limits imposed on your imagination. From here forth, you are to replace expensive with luminous. My lawyer is luminous. Things will no longer be easy. My phone call is luminous. From here forth, you are to replace easy with grateful. My shower is grateful. My days are grateful. My solitude is grateful. From here forth, you are to replace sorry with please. Please, trees. Please, judge. Please, kids. Sorry. Please. Sorry. You're a winner. What did you expect? That our wandering grew away from us? In the manufacturing of GPS ankle bracelet, the city's EPP evaluation may extend to raw materials ethically sourced, copper, silica, lithium, the mining of which is excluded in budget assessments, acquisition, energy consumption, and transport, packaging, recyclability, waste disposal, to be a new green-oriented homeland security. Their products to be biodegradable, efficient, use less water. I could just, spur and end. Why, spiritual loom, in which the word cage is never used. In the aftermath of required turpitude and pristine consequence and such, must repeat the suffering to preserve the suffering, a way to keep the idea without the parts that hurt. Nothing is interesting anymore. It's okay. I voted for Biden. 34,000 immigrant detention bed mandate expected to be filled at all times. Not an inconvenience, not an ethnography, not a testimony, not a redemption story, not an epiphany, a laundry list, not a proof to a theorem, a circus of inordinate objects. You are valued for your productivity. Dickinson said to make a prairie, it takes a clover and one bee. One clover, one bee, and reverie. Somewhere it says forever and forever. I future your grief. I plant the seed and prosper. By our most conservative estimates, states could release at least 13,500 more youth today without great risk to public safety. Our priority is to process detainees as quickly as possible. A new detainee is charged at a higher rate than one who has been in the system for longer than a year. New detainees still have motions to present, forms to sign, people to call. Panic costs more money. Long-term distance detainees are no longer factored into the Appropriation Committee's agenda for the fiscal year to be legible. Methods. How lonely your splendor. The rhyme between splendor and rage, a small anger and a large splendor. In a mass surveillance state, we are all internet stars. I look dutifully for your wound, proper beauty, the minor aesthete. The private for-profit corrections company, GEO Group, is publicly listed as a real estate investment trust which has rewritten into the congressional record the corporate definition of land and ownership. The committee extracts the meadow. I felt safe around your opulent regret. Let us not forgive any of it. I look dutifully for your wound, or I listen to the triumph, the meadow, opulence and opulent regret. I part my beloved's hair. It was morning when ICE raided my brother's home and detained him. He's studying computer science to design more effective tracking algorithms for Twitter. I said, I own this anger. I refused even the intentions of trust. Sappho had it right. God damn, did she have it right? I confess, a heart may be two questions in Spanish. Keep the minor. Hashtag abolish ICE. Hashtag families belong together. Hashtag ACAB. Hashtag two households both alike in dignity. Hashtag in fair Verona, their alternate forms of citizenship. There's no room for misunderstanding, for intentional misreading. I Googled all prisons in California, and Google suggests if I'm looking for best federal prisons in California, 4 out of 5 stars. Detained minor, class notes. I wish you could bring better books. They didn't give us enough food. I am what someone would call a lesser poet, because I no longer feel as if I have the privilege of ambiguity. One clover, one bee, and reverie. Thank you.
It's okay if I drink this, right? Okay. Just picking up cups and drinking and hoping for the best. Hi. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Ramadan Kareem for those who get down. It's so good to see your faces, really. You guys. Okay, I'm gonna read some poems. I'm gonna start my time because I'm already in it. I want to, before I read, I want to thank Diana. I want to thank Tyler. I want to thank Kima. and everybody who conspired to make not just this book happen, but really the call for the projects that led to the book. I feel maybe this is, I'm hearing a thread, but I feel it's like you turn down an avenue from a kind of call, and you find all these different windows and doors into the questions that you were maybe already asking. You just find different access points, and I guess what I want to say, I mean, something that Marcelo just said, which was at the beginning of their set, was that the book is dangerous. And then I think Diana mentions also something about danger and fear, and that got me thinking that I had before the call of poets to explore themes and motifs of anti-carceral properties in their work. This was this Poetry Center brought us into this work. I had a lot of fear. I didn't, and the thing too, I think sometimes about fear is you don't know you're afraid. You don't know you're afraid when you're afraid, and you need like the friction of a question to kind of like illuminate the fear that you have, and to kind of challenge you or make you a little gully to go towards that. And so I wouldn't say I'm like less afraid, but I would say the questions that I started to ask, what's a man? What's a Muslim? What's a soldier? What's a criminal? I think I feel afraid of the right things and not afraid of the wrong things from some of these questions. And I just went off on a whole tangent thinking about, this is, we're thinking of questions of, the carceral state. And I just kept coming back to my paternal line and the men in my family and their relationship, not just to the carceral state, but to like the surveillance eye that looms. And, the lie is that the carceral justice system is transformative, that you're supposed, that you come out, what is it, atoned or what, and that was never the case with anyone in my family. And in fact, when the people in my family found Islam, that was the transformative property. That was like, and I've been thinking about, Islam and religion as a modality of like transformation, and maybe a question of self-esteem, maybe a question of like antidote to brainwashing in this way. The carceral system wants to tell you who you are, and then this way, Islam can be liberatory. And a lot of the men in my family found religion behind bars, and it spread like wildfire through my through my family. So read some of these poems. One thing I'll say too is, before my dad converted, he was real wild. He was really on one, and it was like cold turkey. It was like when he converted, it was like he put everything down that he felt put a distance in between him and God. And I'm thinking of when you're like on one and you're like struggling, rock bottom we might call it, and you want distance from your family in a way, like you don't want them to see you look in a kind of way. He always said that he knew he had found God for sure when he ran into his mom on 5th Avenue, and she almost didn't recognize him because he looked so good. So the poems I'm reading, they start off with this scene. Native sons, my daddy had 1 billion names, so why can't I? He's Abdullah, Dul, Nafis, Doc, the doctor, Sheikh, Minister, Brother Minister Nafis Abdul Alfonso 6X. Alfonso, Booby. Boo, is that you? It had been years since he'd seen his mother, and even if he hadn't been radiant, ensconced so in the buttered sun of his sober skin, she would have known him anywhere. He was her firstborn son, and in any state, she was crazy about him. Boo, is that you? Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And he would. For nearly 5 more decades, he would keep doing it, making salat, and on his deen, selling Muhammad Speaks on the Ave, giving dower, loving the ladies so sweet they love Allah too, making babies, loving the ladies and leaving the babies, and making and loving and leaving them all, and never a cigarette, not one ever again, no narcotics and not one sip ever again. His deen knows he's clean, cold turkey, and always on the move. Is it once in Alfonso, always in Alfonso? Or is it that there's only really one, making all the sons Alfonso, catch a tiger by his toe, name like a star's glow, gone by the time you know he's glorious? Now, if his mama hadn't been so hot with his father, he would have been named James. 5 different women. Some sour, some not, some aged, some rot. 8 children all told, some south, some east, some in between. 3 of them girl things, honeys, angels, torn yarn womb, no trouble for Miles' daughters. But 5 of them were his sons, and his sons were his mischief. But 5 of them are his sons, and his sons are his mischief. America, mind your son's eyes, part green, part brown, part gray. Whatever James did to Ellie, it was enough to make her name her son Alfonso. A pretty name for a pretty boy from a long line of pretty boys. Ellie named him for her big brother, who played the horn and was named after their father, who died on a bar floor and was the son of a black man that lived as a white man whose own father owned him. Now, what's more American than that? Ellie Pearl Strother was a passing gal from a long line of passing gals. Her people were from good stock. She married a dark man with white teeth named James, who drove a big car in a cement city named after an island. She named him Alfonso because fuck James. She named him Alfonso because her brother was king. She did what she did, and who could stop her? She was high yellow and unbroken mare's braid in her chest. My daddy has 2 birthdays, hung apart by 2 days, dilated as pupils, and I observe them both. I should probably say this part. I'm done with that part. But when you convert in Islam, you get a new name. You change your name. And this particular sect that my dad came up in, and this is like in Harlem, Jamaica, Queens, with this particular sect of black men who were, transforming their lives, just like changing the page. You have like your name, and then you have a Roman numeral at the end, and this holds the space for what your name will be, and you have to earn your name. And there are lots of ways to do it, but in this particular era that my dad was in, him and his his brothers that were under the captain and the imam, W.D. Farad Muhammad, their charge was to essentially sell Muhammad Speaks, which were these periodicals made by the Nation of Islam. And that was their I think all religions have this, right? Like their mode of communicating the properties to people who might not know what they are, to try to bring them in, to fold them in. Anywho, so the Muhammad Speaks papers were the amount that you could sell them, the amount that you could put the paper, put the word, essentially, in the hand of a non-Muslim. That was how you earned earned your name. And also the money from those papers were what built the mosques, and they were what like funded the housing and like the clothes and like the produce for the folks who were coming in who were new to the religion. Anywho, when my dad was converting, and when he was, like incarcerated, he had these journals that he kept, like meticulous journals of his process, like processing. I mean, it's kind of a trip to convert. It's kind of crazy to be like, you know what, like this is God now. Like this is, you know. And when I was looking through his journals, I mean, they're so beautiful. They're like really arresting. And they were like talking directly to God. And he was a kind of a hoarder, archivist, if we'll say archivist instead. And the basement, like the whole corner of it is just piled high with these like sepia, like almost disintegrating Muhammad Speaks that he still has from like the 60s. And when he passed, he left them to me. And part of the project that I did was to, I don't know, like touch these journals, these conversion journals, and touch these papers that he sold that they were contraband in a way. Like he wasn't allowed to have them in prison. So I think of them as kites, like kites in the sense they're him to his future self. They're him to God. They're also him to the other brothers who he was siloed off from, like on the block, the cell block, and then also to his sons who he's separated from. So these are like kind of erasures of those things. And they're called kites through time and space. You have power, brother, not the one people make it. In you, intellect. Lord, be trampled, going to meet our hearts. Show me a better way. This way, I studied, I listened, I open. O witness, bear the signs in our teeth, our clothes. God too is an eclipse. A Muslim life is an eternal contribution. No help is perfect. God has no need for a brother. The lost and found nation who have been robbed of your sound, walking around nude. The problem is pride tied into the design. The moon and even some stars think God is in the sky. Scientists should research the future to explain Black Muslims. In the name of the bone-burning world, our people are in the right place. And then one more. Thanks for hanging and listening to my teens. So something I was thinking about is the carceral system as a mode of separation, not just from other people, but from your sense of yourself, from your essence. And something that I feel like, something I think of Islam is it's really, I don't know, it's like about a restoration of a kind of like dignity that you're born with, that you're owed a kind of dignity, that you're owed a kind of togetherness. And it just struck me as crazy that my dad was telling me before he passed away, he was telling me about the meeting where they all finally, him and his whole troop earned their names. And he said, we didn't know, we thought we were just going out to dinner with the captain. And at the end, he just puts down his water and gives us all of our names right there. So this is me talking through that. We are another coming. Islam has no beginning. Fighter for justice, you must work hard to have something, big head, waterhead, to explain why, to give some insight into the future. Master Farad named this class. Unlike religion, the body of knowledge known as science takes the position that all observable phenomenon can be explained. In today's very small world, be a tiny minority, research, lecture, be available, concentrate on solutions. United in Islam, united in Allah, Islam has no ending. Give us our names. We need our names. We are Abdullah and Omar, Khalid and Ibrahim, and Muhammad and Ahmed and Jami and Abu Bakr and Ishmael and Mujahid and Mustafa and Elijah and Yaqub and Shamsuddin and Anwar and Khalif and Amadou and Amin and Jamal and Ibrahim and Khalil and Salam. Allahu Akbar, fill in the blanks. There are no blanks. Alias, nom de plume, mask the sheath, shield, veil, garb the armor, antidote, bridge, border, boomerang, give us our names. Evidence is a word with such violent possibilities. Instead, be an artifact, brazen invention, waterable, baptismal. You crazy for this one. May Allah accept our deeds and put a barakat on everything we do. I know every person reading this can take a movement, raise their hands and make a dua. Remember, green leaves of trees go yellow. Red, brown, gone. But the root is the root. If you fail to achieve your dreams, change your ways, not your creator. Thank you.
First, I must apologize to the souls of the house because I'm wearing the cheekbones of the mask only. Like a pill bottle whose name is yours, name tagged on the side of a factory of risks, I mean, teeth of the mask now. Back of the head of the mask now. A new phase of anti-anthropomorphism fending for real faces. Stuck with one of those cultures that believes I chose this family. I'm not creative. Just the silliest of the revolutionaries. My blood drying on my only jacket. The police state psychic middleman evangelizing for the creation of an unmasked and unmedgar, blood of a lamb less racialized or awesome prison sentence. Right angle made between a point on a Louisiana plantation and a 5-year-old's rubber ball, 3 feet high and falling like a deportee plane to complete my interpretation of garden variety genocide. I'm small talk about loving your enemies a little more realistically. About paper tigers and also gold. I need my left hand back. Broke my neck on the piano key, found paradise in a fist fight. Maybe I should check into the Cuba line. Watching the universe last metronome, some call black Jacobins. Hey, just wait. These religions will start resigning in a decade or two. Some colorfully, some transactionally in a cotton gothic society, class betrayal gone glasses. I mean, ironically, my window started fogging over too as I was trying to figure out which Haiti would get me through the winter, which poem houses souls, which socialist breakthroughs like taking 10 steps back and finally trying stillness, like introducing Gabriel Prosser to the loneliest muck. I mean, I remember childhood. Remember the word childhood being a beginning. Scribbling on an amazing grace, I rented this body from some circumference of slavery. Remember being kicked out the Midwest, strange fruit theater, lithium in circuses, like-minded stomachs, the ruling class blessing their blank checks with levy foam, with opioid tea, sentient dollar bills yelling to each other pocket to pocket. Cello stands in the precinct for accompanying counter-revolutionaries. My mother raised me with a simple pain. A poet loses his mind like the room has weather or first girlfriend gravity. I mean, difference between me and you, the madness wants me forever. A pair of apartments defining both my family and political composure. Books behind my back, bail money paved into the streets playing euphoria, euphoria, cliche. Bracing for the medicine's recoil, sharing a dirty daily sounds with my friends. Black Jacobins, underground topography of a grandmother's hands, psychology of the mask now. Teeth of the mask again. I go to the railroad tracks and follow them to the station of my enemies. A cobalt-toothed man pitches pennies at my mugshot negative all over the United States. There are toddlers in the rock. I see why everyone out here got in the big cosmic basket and why blood agreements mean a lot and why I get shot back at. I understand the psycho-spiritual refusal to write white history or take the glass freeway. White skin tattooed on my right forearm, ricochet sewers near where I collapsed into a rat-infested manhood, my new existence as living graffiti. In the kitchen with a lot of gun cylinders to hack up, house of God in part, no cops in part, my body brings down to Christmas. The new bullets pray over blankets made from the old bullets, pray over the 28th hour's next beauty mark, extrajudicial Confederate statue restoration, the waistband before the next protest poster. Hey, by the way, time is not an illusion, Your Honor. I will save your desk for last. You're a widow, Your Honor. You're moving money again, Your Honor. It's only raining one thing, non-white cops. And prison guard shadows reminded me of spoiled milk flowing on an oil spill. A neighborhood making a lot of fuss over his demise, a new lake for a Black Panther party. Malcolm X's barroom jacket slung over my son's shoulder, the figment of village, a new noose to a new white preacher. All in an abstract painting of a president. Bought slavery some time, didn't it? The tangent screeches of military bolts and election Tuesday cars, a cold-blooded study in leg irons, proof that some white people have actually fondled nooses, that sundown couples made their vows of love over opaque peach plastic and bold action audiences. The Medgar Evers second is definitely my favorite law of science. Final news clippings and primitive Methodists, my arm chains imperialism. Simple policing versus structural frenzies. Elementary school script versus even wider white spectrums. Artists bleeding and the challenge of watching civilians think. Terrible rituals they have around the corner. They let their elders beg for public mercy. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen these kids' heads and their arrows myself and see how much gravy spills out of family crest. Modern fans of what? With their t-shirt poems and t-shirt guilt and me having on the cheapest pair of shoes on the bus. I had no choice but to read the city walls for signs of my life. These little societies wander together like hopeful drops of a virus. Citizen testaments bent on offering me a nation of breadwinners to hold me back like it's a Brinks. I wrinkle the concrete sometimes like flesh. My Martin Luther King permanence turned away from a podium into the reeds like God is a dangerous twin. Black August to the mountaintop balcony on my bedroom floor. You know, they steal you from the earth itself and suspend you in your broken neck from their foolish euphoria. From the loyalty after their great superstition, loyalty after their agrarian reform, I return to my mother completely disrespected for peeling the heat off of purgatory. They kill poets like me. Walk me away from my poems, never to be heard from again. In this foul industrial complex of bloodlines picked over, picked through, a sport and spiritual death of your devil at least half made police become a pretty word. I'm reading a lynch mob shoestrings like they were tea leaves, teaching you how to write about cities. It's the 25th century in the mirror, people. Tyranny against your chump change. You're a chump to be mocked even with a gun in your car. The cubit of needlework spelled tune for the proletariat, the relapse ministry. Talented people curled up in a fetal position next to a diamond dine. Just another service day in the theatrics of tea house fascism and a bouquet of surveillance cameras and the poverty of God. New blue eyes, courses of water. A newly potted presidency of one big shiny coin if you ask an animated capitalism, another non-literal voids killing his white freedom, the deification of hyphens, medicine bread and picture shows, great protesters in L.A., guests of our ink, drop kicking roses in the graveyard, D.C. mink like a stone torn in half, the pen advances despite CIA guideposts, despite non-African past and futures, a metaphorical but not surreal day in a horn-ridden life horn player improvising king. Like a radio prize fight featuring Shango himself, a real hand sweeps the land of racism. I'll return to the ground. Now I make progress with the gun. On our mother Emmanuel, they put on music that evening. A swinging tight body language for you to drink with fermented $5 bills. For your body language, some applause. My past stomach lining, neither a good thing nor a bad thing. Like being psychic on the way to a lethal injection. It'll sit you down with Lady Day. Lady Day leading you through surrender their souls to Africa too soon. Potty thought floating in the cup of water she saved me, accessing my stomach, accessing the love the American lynched. Coat sleeves put in avalanche to the wrist. Our mother Emmanuel, avalanche to the sharp keys. Pain, or deal you make with pain. A piano makes sense for them. Laying hands on the world gradually. Addressing the bended necks on the streets of the north. Travel sailing in pain, repeated pain in the north. 10 trigger fingers on that piano if harmony would have me. Putting 100 fights on every direction off of the Lady Day. Leaning on trees again, recruiting the countryside itself, saying, lay your plan on this lightning. Make your poems the corner pocket of men. I've greeted the blues itself. America may clean my dead body, but will never include me. There goes the poet. Killing without killing. Never mind this little painting of your language. May I be a meaningful lynching, a crow's passing, good and dead by the afternoon. You know, a lot of God can happen in 3 seconds. Not much heaven, though. Here's a man before a fight, a leave me alone type character, emerging from the penniless death of a one-way street fiction. I mean, a fancy way of saying I'm going to make it even if I have to drive backwards. Hey, all I got is chord changes and 1,000 backhands, driving the street like I'm choking. A car full of nephews, hasn't been a son since November. There hasn't been a street I can't choke to death. This city better back down. You see this gun on the table and something about staring until it all feels stable. Why wouldn't I protect everyone? On my death sleep late, my son better be quick. My daughter better shoot first because we fall for no one. You know, we fall for nothing. All right, the first thing you'll feel is the heat. This lady will trying to tell me about possession. Drink life need is what I mostly hear. And most of the world leaves me alone. To breathe smog like a giant, to go to jail every once in a while when the genocide kicks up in late May, when politicians have too easy a time, I'm guessing backwards out of one-way street in honor of myself and in honor of you. If you understand the nature of the world And how long I've been just like my father? One hell of a resemblance says the anxiety of the neighborhood. This is a crossroads or a crossroads narrative of someone's crossroads. People get in the habit of turn back only to find themselves remembering me, but not my last words. A man before a fight, you feel the heat, but there's nothing to keep in mind. There's nothing to remember, really there's nothing to be. It's just this moment, then another, then stare, then it all becomes stable, then the table lets go fuzzy, and Friday's an unfamiliar face peeking in the window. It's cool to panic for a second. Composure is wasting on your worst enemies. People are marked on that sidewalk. You're the only thing life-size. Everybody knows this in the wire hanger empire. When the blood stops walking, that feeling isn't father enough to be permission to fold. You better swing one more time. You know that father of yours rose from the grave and said, just give me 5 more minutes. He said, running water is a myth. It's us who are running up, down, and all alongside this water. And people don't rise from the grave. They're not laid down either. It's us who flip all around their body. So beware when the people around you all look like they're about to jump, it might be your time. You'll feel the heat. And when 4 walls demand to be 4 walls, and the earth outside mutes, don't panic. Don't try to recreate the earth outside. Don't tell jokes to yourself. Don't even talk disrespectfully to the 4 walls. Instead, unclench your fists and walk away. There might be heaven. If you understand the nature of the world.
Thank you. Let's have another round of applause for the 4 poets. Thank you, Tongo, Vanessa, Marcelo, Angel. It's an honor to just be up here with you to celebrate your work and to see how just fucking courageous you've been to talk about things that people are not only ashamed of, but are being put in jail for. So thank you. I just want to thank you. I don't know what's happening with the book signing. Unfortunately, I want obviously, I want everyone to walk away from here, go buy the book, talk about the book, watch the book and the films that we've produced, which are online, and just be supportive of that. I think someone's going to come and help me talk about the book, about where they're at. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm prepared. Thank you.
So the book signing will be out in the hall to the left. And please give our poets about 10 minutes to get to the table for the signing. Thank you so much.